Hi there, I'm Max Page and I'm going to talk to you about Workers and Resources Soviet Republic. This is a game that I've been playing a lot of, and if you're searching this on YouTube, then you're either trying to find out information about it or you are trying to find out some tips about this game. I'm going to show you what it looks like to start a map, and then I'm going to show you a map I'm currently, the same map but with 4 years in-game time progress on it, and the tips that helped, or the strategy that I took in order to make progress in the game. Now, I've started on easy and maximum population. I generally used the population that was already in the country and grew that, although I did get a few. I've lately been getting some immigrants to keep up with how I've been growing the population. 1960s, I've been looking the years, fuel and electricity. I've been managing reasonable citizen reaction, day-night cycles, and complex education. So everyone needs to go to preschool; they don't automatically learn. And this gives you a map with a bunch of towns and one major city. And the major city, which I renamed in my game to Maxim, is where you start. I would suggest starting your development. Now, the way I play this game is quite organic, so as you can see, it's like a star in the sense of the roads going in and out, and it has a large cathedral. Now, you can't build cathedrals or churches in the game. It's the Soviet Republic, and as they're developing the game, they suggested they won't be doing that. But there is actually an oil field here, and there is some coal over here, so I took advantage of that. And there's a small population there, and this is also another oil field with a workable these villages are the citizens have a bunch of aspects that are needed to be satisfied, including their religion, sympathy, and other things. And because you can't build churches, you won't satisfy that unless you use the existing ones. Now, you can convert them away, excuse the pun, from, what is it, Orthodox Christianity, I don't know. And here's a small church here, and another village there, and some bigger towns here. Now, in the game that I'm playing at the moment, these places, like Zhlopolast, end up being abandoned because I moved my population. The map is a square. It's a massive map, and two borders are European with dollar, and the other two are Soviet borders, which deal in rubles. So I'm now going to load up my map, and just so you can see, like, you've got the winding road here. It's quite hilly, and traffic is not going to move very fast. These are very slow roads, and everyone's doing what they can, go to church and keep up with their miserable existence. And you can see different people here. You can see that Barbara, no, Avalova, it's not over there, but you get information about them, how much free time they have. Right, so I'm going to load up my map. So, load, and here we go. Okay, so this is my map, and let me so there was once this area here was my starting point, and as you can see, it's grown. And the way I play the game is quite organic. I like to use things that are already there and the the buildings are already there. I don't want to destroy these buildings. Quite like the style of them, and you can't build these. So I took advantage of this oil field and I built a oil refinery. This is my main source of income. So there are two trains, one that carries fuel that's been processed by this oil plant, and this one which carries bitumen, and they are my main source of income, and they are set up. So this train line here goes all the way to the border over here. Now I'm making rubles all the time, however I'm not making much dollar because my connections to the borders, the European borders, aren't good at all. As you can see, there's a bunch of oil pumps. These are really useful. They allow you to connect multiple points. So here we've got the bitumen coming out and it goes into this, but as soon as it goes into that, it's being pumped. If you don't use these pumps, the fuel, bitumen and oil, they just dribble out and it's not very useful. And we've got bitumen going into here as well, the asphalt plant. So my country is totally self-supported. I can make everything that I need so far, and I know they're going to extend the game. But yeah, so for instance this oil rig, because I'm not using a pump because I ran out of room, it dribbles out. It's kind of forced out actually now because it's at max, so everything has to go into the fuel storage. But this fuel storage is connected to a pump, so as soon as it goes in there, it goes back out. Now this is also fed by this train here. This train is collecting the oil from my other oil field which is located here. So this oil is being pumped into this loading platform. I'm also using it as well for both my chemical plant and plastics factory. The other really major resource is coal. So this was completely empty, and what I have here is 4 mines, all with connected stations. These stations are fed through with a tram that goes between them, as you can see there. So you got the trams here, and I'll probably end up adding more than 2 tram services. But yeah, this tram's now gonna go into this place here, and off it trots, and we can watch that. I mean, graphically, right up close, it's not the best, but I think for what you can do and how complex the simulation is, it is really good. So these are the oldest trams at this point. This is 1964. I can't get any new trams until they unlock. And actually there has been some new trams released lately, but here you go, I quite like this. I'm all about using electricity where possible. Like the oil, these engine transfer places act like pumps, so it's not a really good picture. Here we are. So if you don't use them, if I connected that straight to that, which you could have done because it isn't as long, it dribbles out, and I don't want it to dribble out. So you can see here, this processing plant, as soon as it goes in, it goes out, and this has produced pure coal out of oil, which feeds my brick factory, and also this loading platform, which I'll cover soon. You've got another storage place here, and this is feeding my two main power plants. Now as I expand, I'm going to need a new power plant. These are operating at very high percentage. There's a little bit of give on this one, but not too much. And these are all connected with substations with the electricity lines. And we also have an gravel processing plant, which is taking the gravel from these quarries. There's two of them, another one over there. And this is feeding a whole host of things. Now, to get this arrangement, it takes a lot of planning and spacing and putting buildings in the right order, as in building them. So like, I tend to build the power plant first, then go down to connecting up the processing plant, down to then finally connecting the mines. So you'd actually put the mines down and the power plants down, and then think about the infrastructure in between, because you can't, these power plants, and the other example is like these cement plants, they're massive, so you need to plan, whereas these transfer and conveyors are not massive, and you can move roads and delete roads and put them around. I've got loads of prefab. So that's my town of Maxim, and what I didn't mention is we've got a television station, and this is manipulating them and giving them culture and making them a bit happy. The rating of it isn't very great, I'm not sure how you get that higher, but also have a radio station. Yeah, similar sort of thing. I might produce more of them and think about their educational strength and enthusiasm for sport. I've got a technical university, which is making people bright. I've got a medical university, which is making doctors. Apart from the trains, so I've got the trams here. I've got two stations here. They don't, no train services move between these two. This line is just a feeder. Now, managing train lines is actually quite tricky, and they have improved it, but it is still tricky. And I've got cars and I've got buses connecting places together. There's a lot of micromanagement in this game, but once it's all working, it's all cool. So this little train is collecting coal for my steel mill, which uses iron as well. So it is now collecting coal, and eventually it will head back over to this, which is my steel mill, which is also being fed from another train, which travels. And if you remember when I loaded up the first map, the roads were going around. Well, now it's asphalt and it goes through the hill, and that essentially reduces the traffic, the travel times, right, by dramatic amounts. And then we've got that iron is being loaded here because there's an iron source here, which is why this town is now much bigger, because we've got iron. And I'm also expanding, so most of these train lines have been built using resources and not money, and as you can see, it's a work in progress. And my long-term plan is to connect it with this border. So you might see, yeah, so this thing here was building that bridge, but we've got train lines shooting off here. Now these aren't electrified, so because I like to use all the vehicles in the game. All of my trains at the moment, apart from the ones building these tracks, are electric, whereas I want to use some diesel trains just to add. It's not going to be helpful for pollution, but I just want to add a bit of reality to it. Now this town is not completely empty. Some of the small houses have. No, I think it is pretty empty. But yeah, these villages still have people in them, and somehow they're surviving. I'm not sure how. They have no access to food. Maybe they walk for days on end. But this place is pretty abandoned. So what I've done is, instead of getting immigrants, I've moved the population from these places which haven't got any jobs into these populated places. Now some of these places have grown a lot but eventually I will open these back up again and reuse these houses and make them function again. But at the moment, until the infrastructure is there, I've just moved them into the city blocks that I've got here. This place has been used because of the gravel, so it's all connected down to here, and this place now is the railway construction office, which is building all railway lines. We've got the food, so we've got a farm which is feeding the food factory. We've got the most important thing, alcohol, which I'm using to make dollar. We've got the mechanical components factory, which is connected directly. This is a nice flat piece of land, and as I've mentioned, we had the plastic and the chemical plant, which is there, but we've also got a fabric factory which is feeding a clothing factory, and we have electronics assembly. Now I could probably make a lot of money if I sold all of this stuff. I think it's limited. Yeah, it's completely filled. So I could keep on building. Now, so far, the blueprints I have for making cars are these. The reason why I want to make dollar is I want to make Beetles because I think they're cool and I like their colour. And plus, I assume as the years progress, because you unlock vehicles, that there'll be schematics for things that I want to build. So at the moment it's building these GZM 21s. The reason why they change the price is you've got the engine power, which is how fast they travel and how fuel efficient they are. And we need asphalt because it allows them to go at that maximum speed so they can overtake. And we've got, I think I missed a truck there, but they are being taken. Let's slow this down actually. So this has taken some vehicles from my car plant, and we have our car dealership. Now most of the cars are actually built in this country rather than bought in, and you can see that only people that have greater than 50% loyalty are allowed to have a car. And as soon as that truck drives off, we've got some happy customers who end up driving a Maxim built car. A quite cool looking car at that. So the population, I've been quite successful in this, I think. So it started in 1960, but you can sort of see just from this year that generally everyone's happy, they're nourished, their health is good because I've got hospitals like this one here, and I'm using the space. So I have had to delete, destroy roads that were there, but it's an organic growth, and I think this game is, you can play it a number of ways, but one of the other ways you could play is you transfer the population to where the jobs are, but I like to build the jobs where the houses and stuff, or have the population where the jobs actually are. Loyalty isn't brilliant, which, yeah, it's only like 30%. There's not many alcoholics, which is pretty surprising. I think I'd be a good Soviet dictator. Culture enjoyment's good. Use of sports, I've got plenty of football fields. Religion sympathy, it's still quite high because I've built or kept the churches there and taken advantage of them. And they've got clothes. That's really useful because we don't want to walk around naked. But this place here, it's totally changed. It's grown. These old houses, which have 65% quality, which aren't very happy places to live, have generally been replaced by these flats, which are 91%. And you can see how the infrastructure has changed. Some tips are these semaphores. Managing trains is challenging. What some people might do is put semaphores in between, but you generally get trains getting stuck and you have to manually move them, which is an absolute pain. So what you should try and do is keep the semaphores far apart from complex pieces of track. That way they generally work. So I'm sure I heard a train coming by. But yeah, so if you want any further videos, I'll see if there's enough demand for them, otherwise I won't make any. And if there's enough demand for me to do a let's play where I start from scratch and you can kind of see how I would have built this, then I will do so if there is enough demand. But thank you for watching IMAXPage, and this is a brilliant game as long as you don't mind the micromanagement. Thank you.